It's House of Windsor. But actually her married name's Mountbatten, because Prince Philip, his last name's Mountbatten. But she is the House of Windsor. Most people have no idea that, but the point is that that's common law, okay? The family name is never mentioned at common law, okay? That's why my name is Glenwinning House of Fern, right? The family name's not mentioned, and they know that. That's why they always say, Dear Mr. Winningham, okay? They know the family name's not mentioned at common law. They're telling me they're addressing a letter to a member of the sovereignty, except they're using that title of a nobility Mr. But at least it's Dear Mr. Winningham. You see what I'm saying? I mean, they know, and this is how they always come back, okay? And so it's Dear Mr. Winningham. I guess we won't be looking at that one. Negative responses. The Pennsylvania Attorney General sent me a letter making all sorts of legal determinations and presumptions and said they would enforce their law. And if anybody wants that package, I got all that stuff digital. I just keep it digital. In March 2010, I filed a criminal complaint, sent it to the Chief Judge of the Pennsylvania Supreme Court and the U.S. Attorney in Pennsylvania. And on the 22nd of February, I checked the Pennsylvania Attorney General's website, and it says William H. Ryan Jr. becomes acting Pennsylvania Attorney General. See, look at this, okay? So they removed his butt. And he's out digging ditches somewhere because he can't get a job that requires a bond, and they have an acting attorney general there now. And I guarantee you that manure rolls downhill, and I guarantee you that they've told whoever else that be careful about this. You see what I'm saying? I guarantee you it'll never happen again. And there's the acting attorney general. Huh?
Another criminal, you can tell by look on his face.
Well, maybe, but at any rate, I mean, I presume he's honest. And until he proves otherwise, he's honest. You see what I'm saying? You got to build a case against him, give him an opportunity to perjure his oath. Until then, he's an honorable man, and until I have proof otherwise, he's an honorable man. That's all I can say. I mean, I would expect them to do the same for me, Anyways, the Ohio Director of Public Safety, Henry Guzman, sent me a letter making all sorts of legal determinations and presumptions. In August 2009, I filed a criminal complaint and sent it to the Ohio Attorney General, the Chief Judge of the Ohio Supreme Court, the State Bar, and the U.S. Attorney. On the 22nd of February, I checked the Ohio Public Safety website, and it says that on January 2011, Thomas P. Charles was appointed Director of Public Safety. And Thomas P. Charles was former Ohio Inspector General for the last 13 years. Now that tells me, I mean, if anybody knows the law, the Inspector General does, okay? And so they wanted someone in there to make sure that doesn't happen again. And so here's their website. And this Thomas P. Charles is from the Inspector General's office, is now Director of the Ohio Public Safety. So again, if you don't complain, nothing's ever going to change. You got to complain. You got to bring up the right issues. You got to lay a foundation, bring up the right issues. You got to prove your case. I first started doing this when I was going through a foreclosure in Arizona, and this is how it all started. And this, I've got to tell you, it scared the life out of me, okay? It scared me to death. I was grabbing at straws and just doing everything I could. I decided, what happened is I was going through a foreclosure in Arizona. I paid off my house with a promissory note, and the banksters stole the money, and then they stole my house. So I decided to arrest the auctioneer, and when they were selling my house on the courthouse steps. So when you witness a felony, right, they were criminally converting my name and my address and all the rest of it, you can make an arrest. And so I called the police to take custody of the felon. The police started building a case against me for disturbing the peace. I saw that happening, and so I started sending noticing demands to the police officers, the chief of police, the town attorney, the judge. The town of Florence, which is where this took place, sent their straw man a summons. So I attached the summons along with my notice and demands to an affidavit of criminal complaint, and I recorded it, and I sent it back to them. I'm a kind of in-your-face sort of guy, you got to understand. So then I sent notice and demands to the Pinal County Sheriff, the Maricopa County Sheriff, the Casa Grande Chief of Police, anybody, because I knew they were going to issue a warrant, right? So anybody that could potentially have anything to do with me, or the straw man, I sent them notice and demands. And Arizona Attorney General, the Chief Judge of the Supreme Court. I said, you have a criminal racketeering enterprise operating in the town of Florence, and I hereby demand that you regulate your subordinates. Because it was a judge, right, that was issuing this stuff. So anyways, I sent out a bunch of notice and demands. And these were only like 5, 6 pagers. They were pretty small compared to what they do now. So what happened is I called up the court, and I knew they'd issued a warrant because the clerk told me they'd issued a warrant. And the warrant has to season for a period of time, and I think it varies from one state to the next, but I think it's at least a month, and some places up to like 90 days. Anyways, so it was on the Memorial Day weekend, and it was, which is May in 2005, and it was on a Friday, and my coworkers, I came in after lunch, and my coworkers said, there's a big guy here looking for you. And I figured, oh, I bet I know who that is. And so I left work early that day, and what happened is as I was driving out of the parking lot, I saw this yellow van that was all caged in inside driving in, okay? And so it's the important thing to note here is that the cops wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole, okay? They had to send a bounty hunter. I couldn't notice all the bounty hunters. And so it was on a Friday, and what they do is they keep you in jail for 3 days. If you don't understand the law, you can demand to see a judge now. Get his butt out of bed. I want to see him now. And they have to get him up. Now, some people say, well, that wouldn't happen here. Well, if you do it, I mean, yes, maybe it'll happen. It won't happen here once. But if you complain about it, I guarantee it won't happen again. They'll get his butt out of bed. And you get the judge's butt out of bed, and then you start railing on him, I guarantee you, manure rolls downhill. I got to be careful about my language since there's ladies in here and everything. But manure rolls downhill. And so, anyways, they told me this big guy was looking for me. I left work early that day and decided to take a week's vacation. I had already had a lawsuit going. Okay, I knew it was coming. I was preparing a lawsuit. It takes time. You got to think about that kind of stuff so you get all your stuff in there, because it's a one-crack shot. You know, you got to get all your arguments in there. So, anyways, I was preparing my lawsuit. I took a week's vacation. I finished up my lawsuit. I filed the lawsuit the following Tuesday, which was the next normal business day, and then I sent another notice and demand to the Chief Judge of the Supreme Court of Arizona, and I ordered her. I told her there's a criminal racketeering enterprise operating on the town of Florence. I said that their hired thugs were looking for me under a warrant for the arrest of their straw man, and I demanded that she quash the warrant for the arrest of their straw man vessel, quote, because we all know that the corporate commercial agents, the police in brackets, are too stupid to tell the difference between a straw man vessel and a sovereign living soul, unquote. And I said, furthermore, I filed this lawsuit, you're named it, this is the case number, and you'll be served with it soon enough. And if you fail to quash the warrant for this straw man vessel, it'll be further proof of your dereliction of duty to regulate your subordinates. And she quashed the warrant. Actually, I don't think she quashed it, but she issued a restraining order, because they never, ever came looking for me after that. Okay? I worked there for 9 months after that, and this lawsuit was going on. Never saw anybody. Okay? Anyways, the Attorney General responded for the Chief Judge in the lawsuit, and the Attorney General said it was perfectly appropriate that I petition the Chief Judge to get the warrant quashed. So that warrant is still out there, and I'll tell you more about that later, but they don't come looking for me. Matter of fact, I was in a car accident a year ago last December. Some lady made an illegal left turn and T-boned me, broadsided me, right? Well, I got a 3/4 ton 4x4 truck. So, I mean, it didn't do much damage. It did enough, but it totaled off her car. Bumper was laying in the road. I mean, it was like totaled. And, but meanwhile, the cops had to come because there was a lot of damage, you know. And so, the Pinal County Sheriff, right? Florence is the county seat for the Pinal County Sheriff, for the Pinal County, and it was the Pinal County Sheriff's Department that came, right? Well, the first thing I told them is, there's no such thing as a driver's license under Texas law. Why would I want one of those? I don't have one of those. And so, anyways, and I heard the county sheriffs talking to each other, because the first thing that happened when that happened is he calls out his supervisor, right? And the county sheriffs are sitting there talking, saying, oh, I guess there's no such thing as a driver's license under Texas law. Anyways, so then we're talking, and they're saying that, well, all persons have to have a driver's license in Arizona. And I said, I'm not a person. And that was the end of that discussion. Never talked about that after. I'm telling you. They know. Anyways, so they pulled up the warrant, okay? They pulled up this warrant, and I heard them talking about it on the radio, and they were reading off this warrant, and they said, but we don't want to extradite. Well, I was in Pinal County. It was the Pinal County Sheriff that was there. Where's the extradition? I'm sorry, I'm missing something here. You see what I'm saying? I think they didn't want to have anything to do with it, and they never did arrest me or anything, okay? They just said, you need to take care of this, eh? And it's a $350 fine, but it's a matter of principle, yeah. So I sent them notice and demands is what I did, but I did take care of it. Anyways, I'm actually going to send a judge a void judgment, a criminal complaint, and I'm going to throw in some stuff about void judgments, which you'll see in this case in my presentation, because that's exactly what he issued. He didn't have any authority. It's a void judgment, and I'm going to you know, just dump on him, and maybe I'll get him removed. Who knows? I guess. Anyways, so keep moving here. On the 11th of May, 2009, I received a photo radar ticket from the Arizona Department of Public Safety. That was after, oh no, that was from my son. My son was driving my truck in Arizona. My son's a teenager, you know. He was at the time about 18, you know, riding around like teenagers do. They sent me, he was driving my truck, they sent me the photo radar ticket. I rejected their offer of contract, sent notice and demands to the chief judge and the district judge, or the court, the judge and the mayor, and the case disappeared. And the reason I know it disappeared is because in the when I got in that car accident, right? There's no history, nothing pulled up on that, okay? Anyways, then on the 22nd of February, this was after that car accident, right? I had to rent a car because my truck was in the body shop. And so that's the only time I ever pull out the straw man's driver's license, okay? Otherwise, I never give it to the police. I don't have one. I don't. The straw man has one, but they don't ask for the straw man's driver's license. So I don't have one. And so what happens is when you rent a car, they won't rent you a car unless you pull out the straw man's driver's license. And so I had to pull it out. So I got a photo radar ticket, and they contacted the car rental company, and the car rental company gave them the address and everything, and so they sent it to me. And so what happened is I sent notice and demands to the DPS officer, the Director of Public Safety, the Attorney General, and the judge, okay? And then I felt like just being real belligerent at the time, and so I didn't even wait 30 days. I filed criminal complaints against them all for perjury, though, treason, sedition, etc. You know what happened? They canceled the photo radar program. I'm serious. And Arizona Attorney General Terry Goddard is no longer in office. And he's replaced by Tom Horn, a former judge. Okay, now who's going to know the law except an attorney, former judge? Okay, and they sent me notice that they're canceling the straw man's driver's license. Well, whoop-de-doo. I don't even care. I mean, quite frankly, that thing's a boat anchor around my neck. And the thing doesn't expire till I turn 65, which is 15 years from now. So who cares? Go ahead and cancel it. I just pull it out when I want to rent a car anyways. So I'll still rent cars, and meanwhile, you'll have me out of your system. That's great. That's, you know, excellent. So here's the website where it says Arizona shuts down the freeway speed cameras. And whoops. Oh, I guess it's, yep. I used to have that here. That was actually an image of the thing from the Inspector General in Arizona saying they wanted me to come in because they want to verify that I'm a U.S. citizen. Okay, and so they need me to bring a passport